So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our July Caretap Community Briefing. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. We are excited to have you here. Before we begin, I'd just like to mention that this session is intended for ARMS providers and that today's webinar is being recorded. A copy of the recording will be shared after the session for anyone who would like to review it later. Again, thank you for joining us. Our goal with this community briefing is to keep everyone informed about the latest CareTap updates, share helpful best practices, and make sure you're getting the most out of the platform. We truly appreciate your continued partnership and support. So here's a quick look at today's agenda. We'll start with an overview of the ARMS workflow, followed by some helpful tips and best practices. We'll also go over the latest updates we have made to the platform, and at the end of the session, we'll also open the floor for any questions you may have. Before we continue, we'd like to introduce today's speakers. Joining us today is Bridget, CareTap's support onboarding team lead, and I myself, Justin, CareTap's account manager, and we also have someone here that will be spectating us, which is Freddie, CareTap's customer support and success manager. Before we dive into the presentation, we'd like to sincerely thank each of you for being part of the CareTap family. Your feedback, dedication, and partnership continue to help us improve our platform and better support providers across Minnesota. We truly appreciate everything you do, and we're excited to continue growing together. So at CareTap, we're proud to support a wide range of healthcare providers. In addition to ARMS, we also serve home care, EIDBI, NEMT, group homes, interpreting and translation services, integrated community supports, adult daycare, and private duty nursing. Our goal is to continue building solutions that make documentation, compliance, and day-to-day operations easier for every provider that we serve. So that wraps up my portion of the introduction. At this point, I'd like to hand it over to Bridget, who will walk everyone through the ARMS workflow overview and the latest features in CareTap.
Great, thank you, Justin. So we're going to be going over some of our latest features that have been added and also some reminders about the best practices when using our ARM software. So I will be going over some best practices for managing your functional assessments, ITPs, and diagnostic assessments, how you can review your pending, completed, and expiring documentation, how you can monitor what documentation your employees are completing and whether they're completing it correctly, how your employees themselves can find all of their submitted forms in one location, how your employees can also review their total hours, and some best practices for during accurate session times, and how you guys can keep your ITPs and functional assessments current. When it comes to our latest updates, we have an improved employee total hours report. We have session duration visibility that is much more improved. We have a new interpreter role that your interpreters can use to directly enter their hours. We have new pages for your employees, including a forms and worked hours page. We have new expiring ITP and FA tracking, easier client signatures for ITPs. We also have added employee password resets and deleted forms recovery. So the total hours report and duration visibility, we added this to all of the EHR pages where you can much more easily see on that page itself how long each session was. This is also displayed directly on each form, so your employees themselves can also see before they submit the form how long of a duration they are entering. This also connects with our new improved total hours report for your employees that can help you with things like calculating your pay. The new interpreter role, this is mostly optional, but now you can add your interpreters as a profile, and they could log in to CareTap, kind of like your MHPs, but it is primarily just for them to submit their hours to their system. This way you don't have to have an administrator go in and add all of the hours. You can have your interpreters enter it directly, and then you guys can later review it. We also added the option to have the interpreters sign off on their hours. They will also be able to see their assigned clients forms submitted by the MHPs if it's ever needed for reviewing. Your employees will also see that there is a new page called Forms. When they click on this page, they can see all of the forms they have submitted, pending, verified, all in one place, and it will also total their hours at the bottom. There's multiple filter options, so they can see how many hours they worked for each client. They can also change the date range as well to see their total hours for a month or a week. We also have the new expiring forms page. This is for your ITPs and FAs, where you'll be able to see within 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. We have a little filter there that you can change which ITPs or FAs are expiring soon. This can help you guys and your employees plan that next review ITP or functional assessment session. ITP signatures, we made some changes to that to make it so that it's really easy for the MHP to get the signature either during the session, or they can always edit the form to get the client signature after. We also have, if any of you guys enter your client's email addresses under their profile, there's an option to now send the form for client signature from the admin side. This will send them a link over email that they can then review their ITP and sign it. So now I'm going to switch to doing some live demonstrations here. So here on the admin side, most of you guys are probably pretty familiar with this, but a few best practices are to always ensure that your clients have their proper service billing codes entered. And this is all done under the service authorization details page. So if I go to this client, always make sure that you have all of the correct billing information for your clients here. You'll also want to ensure that the start date and end date is for the date range that these services are allowed, right? So if you have a client that is stopping services, if you're having changes of insurance, you can always update these dates. This is because this is directly connected to both the employee submitting the forms and the billing. So you always want to make sure that this information is the most up to date. This can always be edited as well. If there's anything like changes of insurance, changes to the date range, diagnosis codes, all of that can be modified. Under your EHR tab here, you're going to find all of the pages for managing all of your billable forms. So for example, when I click on progress notes, here I can see all of the forms across all of my clients. And I can always filter this further with the different search filters. And as a reminder of the different statuses here, the draft status, such as down here, is a form that the employee started, but they didn't actually fully submit. Now, for the treatment supervisor or you to submit it for billing, the employee does have to go to that draft form, edit, and submit it. A pending form is a form that the employee submitted, but the treatment supervisor has not yet signed off on. Pending forms can be still submitted for billing, but this can help you see which forms the treatment supervisor has actually gone in and fully. And the remaining one is the verified one, which is the ones that the treatment supervisor has fully signed off on. Additionally, remember that there are two different ways to view the forms. There's this view docs, which will show you the PDF version of the form. You can always download these. So if you need to send these to the client or need this for any other documentation reasons, you can always do that here. But there's also the edit option here. Now, as an admin, you are usually not going to be editing forms unless perhaps it's something that's affecting the billing. But just keep in mind that this is kind of another way to look at the form. Additionally, you can delete forms. So let's say I wanted to delete some of these draft forms that the employee just created as a mistake. I can always do that here. Now we have added with deleting forms, you can now retrieve your deleted forms under EHR deleted forms here. We have also added the new ITP or FA expiring soon page. This is the feature I mentioned earlier. And from this page, here's where I can change this filter to see the forms that are already expired, those that are expiring within 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. And then our new employee total hours report is here. And here you can see, I can see the total hours for this date range I have right now, which is the past week. But I can always change this to a custom date range. I can search for just a specific employee. I can also search for specific service types. So for example, if you guys calculate your payroll for the employees differently, so you need to start with looking at just their hours for progress notes, you can now search by service to see just those hours. Another thing to mention is that if any of you guys are using or if any of you guys provide or know of agencies that provide targeted case management, we have recently added targeted case management documentation to our ARMHS portal as well. If you guys are interested in this at all or you provide these services, please reach out to us. We can always provide you more information. I'm now going to switch to an employee login to show you a few things that are new about your employees view. So here is a basic MHP login. If you guys have people with other roles like clinical trainees, their role will look the same. The only difference will be some of the forms they have access to. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the basic form submission of selecting a client and selecting the documentation type. All of that has stayed the same, but these are some of our new pages up here. So first, the expiring forms page. This works just the same as it does for you guys as an admin, but this way the employee can see for their own clients when they have to schedule the next ITP session. And then we have the forms page as well. This is one of our biggest changes where now they can search by client name here, but they don't have to click in to each individual client and each individual form type. Instead, they can see every single session that they've submitted right here. This can be a lot quicker and easier for them to be able to verify which forms they've actually fully submitted, which ones are still drafts, which ones the treatment supervisor has not yet signed. Additionally, as mentioned before, they can always change the service start date and end date here, especially for if they're looking for their total hours for, let's say, a week, because this page will now show the totals down here at the bottom. And then finally, the last addition we have made is employees can now reset their own password by just clicking reset password up here. You guys as admins will still be able to reset their passwords as well, but this way, if the employee wants to make their own password changes, they now can. And that is all I had for today, so I'm going to hand it back to Justin.
All right. Thank you, Bridget, for walking us through those updates and best practices. I'll go ahead and wrap things up by sharing a few helpful resources and reminders before we move into our Q&A. If you ever need assistance after today's webinar, our support team is always here to help. There are several ways that you can reach out to us. You can call our support line and speak directly with one of our support agents for immediate assistance. You can also use the live chat feature within your CareTap account that is located the left-hand side of your dashboard page. If you'd like more personalized guidance, you can schedule a one-on-one session through the support tab in CareTap. So no matter which option you choose, we are committed to making sure you'll get the support you need. We also want to remind everyone about our CareTap referral program. If you know another agency that could benefit from using CareTap, we'd love to hear from you. For every successful referral, you will receive a $200 referral bonus, and there's absolutely no limit to how many agencies that you can refer. We'll also be emailing the referral form after today's webinar, so be sure to keep an eye on your inbox. So before we finish, we'd like to let everyone know that our next community Zoom session will be held in August. We'll also be sending out a recording of today's webinar next week, along with the referral form. So if you'd like to revisit anything we covered today, you will have access to it by next week. So that brings us to the end of today's presentation. Thank you again for taking the time to join us. We truly appreciate your partnership and hope you found today's session helpful. So at this time, we'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. Please feel free to use the chat option on this Zoom meeting.